A microphone.
Okay. All right.
Do you think I am okay like that, or do you want another position?
No, you're fine. You're
Okay.
Fine. You're comfortable
Okay.
there.
Okay. First, I'm gonna tell you my story since Africa. Then you ask the questions you want to ask me.
Well, I want to hear it from you, basically.
Okay. Basic.
You know.
Okay. I was born in Angola. My parents were Portuguese. So then I went there, and I was born there. And I make most part of my studies there. I begin the university there, but in the second year, because I am a veterinary, in the second year there was a discipline that I had to do, and I didn't make it. So then I offer as a volunteer to the Portuguese Army. You know, because when you are young, you have the ideals, and in your head, you have 19 years old. Okay, so then I went to the army as a volunteer with 19 years old. But before that, since the 15 years old, I was a member in the clandestinity from the MPLA. So the party that it's ruling now the government in Angola. Since the grammar school, the elementary school, you know, because the most part of the people, they were white. So there were a few Negroes, sons from families assimilated for the colonialism and so on. And exactly those who came to Portugal to study and become later the leaders, you know, because they have instruction and they study here in the Portuguese university. So I was inside that movement, working as a clandestine, you know, in the clandestinity, giving papers to the people, going house to house, a section of telling them what is the kind of the movement is, the sense, what we want, the independence, this and that and that and that. Okay, when I went into the army, then after 3 months of basic instruction, they chose me to go to the special forces that we call the commandos. Okay, so I made another 6 months there for that specialized force. Then, as I could speak some language at that time already, like English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, because since I was young, my father put me in those schools, the American school, the French, the Alliance Française, and then I begin since I was young. So they recruit me in the army for the information service, and during that time, I was working with a general and a brigadier that later on in 1981 they formed the actually Portuguese intelligence service, CIS. That was General Pedro Cardoso and the General Renato Marques Pinto. So, and that time there was an American agency, the Ginter Press, that was there in Angola working with another organism called CITA. CITA means Center of Information and Tourism of Angola. But that's not really that. Doesn't mean that. That's what to infiltrate people to know with the police, you know, PID.
There was a front group.
Yes. Well,
Proprietary.
Yes, exactly. So they recruit me for the Interpress, and I start making contacts with the South African Army, the Intelligence Army Service. That time they call it BOSS, you know.
Yes.
Then they stop it and they divide it into parts, like the Mossad and the Shin Bet. They call it NIS and they call it DONS. NIS was the National International Security Service. DONS was the Domestic Operational National Security. One was inside South Africa, the other was outside, like the MI5 and the MI6, you know. And they have the antennas in London here and so so on, because they was fighting against SWAPO and the ANC. Okay, and they kill people in London, here and that. Okay, so I established.
I know Boss would send people sweaters, and when they put
Yeah, they did it a long time ago. A long time. This is what they said about Americans with the waterboarding and so on. They did it a long time ago there. They did it there. Then I established contacts with some members from the Secret Service, boss, and I become friend of some. Okay. And I start working with the Interpress because in the American embassy, that was not the American embassy, was the consulate in Angola, because the American embassy was in Portugal. They have a really task force from the CIA there working, because the American oil companies, they were already in Angola, and they have to defend their interests there.
Right.
At the same time, those churches, the Baptist church, the Methodists, the Mormons, they were already in Angola working in the clandestinity, giving instruction, learning things about the geopolitics, the real politics, and from those missions come to some of the leaders from the other movements, FNLA and Savimbi and others like that. Because really America, as one day a singer told me when we were talking about that, about the real politic, the American real politic, I told him, was more guys was in Paris, and I said, why the Americans, they never have friends around the world? And he just told me that we don't have friends, we have interests, business, just that. And I looked to him, okay. So, and that explains a little bit the American policy around the world. That's like that, because one day they are friends from Gaddafi, the other day they put him down. The other day they are friends from Saddam Hussein, the other day they put him down.
Right.
That's the real politic, you know, unfortunately. Okay, so that's like the movie the other guy wanted to do. We are going to invade who now? Okay, it's more or less like that, you know. So, and I start working with those people there. Then came the 25th of April. I was supposed to keep going on the army, okay, and I was supposed in 1974 come to Portugal for the military academy to graduate as a captain, to go again there to command the company. Then I was blessed in our operation, a big operation against the MPLA in the east, and I was evacuated to South Africa because I was paralyzed from here to there, you know. You can see my eye here. I have this bigger than the other one, here, and I have 2 discs here. So, and they told me that I would never walk again. And I said, oh my God. But they were real good in South Africa, the doctors, the physiotherapists, the nurse and so on. And after 1 year with so many efforts and myself, they put me a kind of things on the legs, and I start walking, and I make a therapy from speaking, because I couldn't speak well those days. And then after I came back. I never went to the bush again, but I keep working in the intelligence service. Okay, so I was supposed, as I told you before, to come to Portugal to the military academy, but meanwhile the 25th of April came. Okay. So they mobilized everybody, and then I stayed there because my parents has a house there, and I didn't want they occupied the house. So I stayed there, and my father make a donation for the house coming to my name for me. But the MPLA, they don't have enough people to fight against the other movements. So they form a kind of a battalion with people from the special forces, white, black, mixed people, but they were born there in Africa. We were more or less 600 men, okay, to give instruction to the others. in meantime, the FNLA contract 100 mercenaries, English, Greeks, Argentinian, and they enter from north, and they go village by village, and they kill everybody. They steal diamonds. They do a kind of atrocities. So we went there to catch them. We catch them. There was a big trial in 1977, an international trial. Some 3 were sentenced to death. The others, they gave them 16, 20 years. But after 6, 7 years, they threw them out. Okay, so I stayed more 2 years and a half there, but always working with the intelligence service there, because they knew my capacities. So then I came back to Portugal, because I said I want to finish my degree of veterinary.
Right.
And they said, you won't come back again. Yeah, I should come back. I have my house here, I have my things here. And every year I went there to spend 2 months. Then I finished my graduation in veterinary here. And then one day I received a call from a guy from South Africa that worked with South African intelligence service, Gary Van Dyke. Gary Van Dyke was a colonel and was during a long time the antenna E in London. And he invited me to go to London. And then I went there, and he said, tonight we have a dinner with many friends from different countries. Okay. We went to a dinner in the Grosvenor Hotel near Victoria Station.
Yeah, I know where that.
Yeah, okay. So there is the Apollo Theatre and so on there. So, and in this meeting, you could find guys from all the intelligence services around the world, even Russians, So he introduced me to this, to that one. And there was a guy there. There was William Hasselberg. There was the antenna here from the CIA that we call him Billy. So
He lives in Virginia now.
yeah, and he's dating with a Portuguese woman here. It's
Famous actress or something.
No. She is the father. The father was the strongest man during the colonialism in Mozambique. He has a private army, was the engineer George Jardim that worked with the South African army. So they are 8 or 9 sisters and 1 brother. That's a very strange family. She knows that he is still married in the United States, but when he comes to Portugal, she's with him. She appears in the magazines, in those color magazines. Socialite magazines, Well, it's something they don't understand. Well, I understand because later on I knew better Billy. He was a guy that loves the night, women, and drinking, and so he was a playboy, So, and this guy, when I came back to Portugal, he introduced me to that was here 3 months, was just arrived 3 months, Frank Alucci. Then I went to the American embassy, and they said, this man was this and that and that. He gave almost my curriculum vitae, So Carlucci said, okay, you are going to work with us from now on. And I said, but I am still studying to finish my course. No problem, you work.
He was the ambassador.
He was the ambassador. But he always belonged to CIA, since from the beginning. Since 1961, he was involved in the death of Patrice Lumumba, with the MI6, with the French DGS, that time, since a long time. But he was a very clever guy, He was coming from an Italian family. Was a short guy, but very, very, very low profile, but very smart, very intelligent guy, Because I had, during many years, I was with him here, and then later in the United States. So then I finished my degree, and I started work. I went to the United States.
So you were a veterinarian?
Yes, I am a veterinarian. I worked 12 years, but part-time, like a camouflage,
Right.
Because the time I was really working for them. Then I went to the United States. I went to Langley, and I stayed 6 months there, 3 in Langley and 3 in Quantico. Okay, training guns, telling me, teaching me intelligence, terrorism, counterterrorism, information, and then I started working for the clandestine service. Now, I had a code name. My code name was Simon Fox, because my grandfather was Jewish, was Shimon. Okay, so they have to convert to here in Portugal. But I still remember my grandfather on Saturdays he put the kippah and things like that. And my father too. If you look to a picture to my father, you immediately look at him and said, "He is a Jewish." Okay, he's a Marrano, like they say here,
right,
coming from the Sephardic side.
Sephardic.
Yeah, okay. Because my brother-in-law is Jewish too, but he is Ashkenaz because parents came from Poland. He is Josef Steinberg. He is a good friend of mine, a close friend of mine. He is living in Brazil. He is a translator for the American Embassy. You work for Mossad during a long time. He is teaching in the university. My nephew was in Israel in the army, Moshe Steinberg. The other one, Tafat, was in Israel too. So we have a very close friendships.
Right.
And I met during my life, I met so many people from Mossad. They are friends. The antenna here from Mossad during many years was David Katz. He was a good friend of mine. When he went to Israel or when he went outside, he let the car from embassy that was destined to me. Once I was driving the car, this is a joke, I was driving the car and the Portuguese police stopped me in a big avenue here. And they come with the guns. I said, motherfucker, they are crazy. What? Oh, get out. I said, well, what's happened? What car is this? So what? What's the problem? Oh no, this car belongs to the Israel embassy. So what? The owner of this car is a good friend of mine. The papers are here. If you have any doubts, call the embassy, and they let me go. But they was looking because I was living almost 2 years in the Hotel Sheraton when I came from the United States, because those days there was no house to rent, to sell. Was a very conturbated period here, you know. So I was 2 years. If you go to the Sheraton, I still have my register there. Those times they have a key with a big square metals with an S, Sheraton, you know, in the big key. You know, now they have cards, but and I keep that key. Okay. Then when I went to Brazil working, I met my wife, my actual wife. Then I bring her to Portugal. She went to live with me to Sheraton because I had a suite there. And my daughter was made there in Sheraton in 1977 because she was born in 1978 February. And then later on, my son is now in Brazil. He is the commander of the federal police squad, the special squad from the federal police. He is a lawyer. You know, he is in Brazil. Now you want to get out because you want to become a judge. They said, let's stay there, you are better there, don't go to a judge, because there is too much corruption there. Oh, but I want, okay, do what you want. You have 29, I don't have to tell you nothing now. Okay. So then I start working, I came back and I start working, and then I went to different countries around the world. I went to Philippines, I went to Lebanon, I went in Lebanon. I had an operation with an American guy that went with me during that conturbated period of the hostage, you know. There was a CIA guy that was arrested there, you know, and they demand $3 million. Those from now they are from the jihad. Those days they have another name. There was the Christian side and the Arab side. Now they are the Hezbollah. Those days they had another name.
This was in Lebanon?
Yes, in Lebanon.
Right.
Yeah, because they were divided in quarters. Christian. Falange was a Christian. Yeah. No, was the Islamic side that they call today the Hezbollah. Right. So we went to a hotel there, And we made the contacts. I had a satellite phone those days, those big ones with bags, with the parabolic and things like that. And then I called to the guy that was supposed to be the intermediary with that to get the money and bring the other guy. And we were at the hotel and we marked at 1 o'clock. But they didn't arrive. And I said to the other guy, let's eat something and then we come back. We went to eat, and when we was coming to the hotel by taxi, we saw the hotel was surrounded with Mercedes and Jeeps with guys with Kalash. And I said to the taxi, keep going, keep going. Okay, we came later, after 3-4 hours, then the other guys staying in the taxi. I went to the hotel and they were really terrified because they said, listen, you must get out because they came here to looking for you and for your friends. So what they want to catch us to become hostages and the money too. So I have to get out from Libya because I use different passports in different times. Sometimes I use my passport, but sometimes I use the fake, but a good one, that pass in any border with other name, with a French name, with a Spanish name, with a Brazilian name. It depends from the operation. Then I was in Nicaragua, I was in El Salvador, I was in Honduras, and sometimes the DEA, needed people from us that could speak language to go for infiltrations. And in 1984, during that war with the cartels in Colombia, there was the cartel from Medellin and the cartel from Cali. So the cartel from Medellin was commanded by Pablo Escobar, and the cartel from Cali was commanded by a famous guy named Carlos Leder Rivas. A big one guy, a big shark, So they want to catch him, the DEA. So they put me and the guy from Puerto Rico trying to establish contact with these people for buying coca. But we were a decoy, we were a decoy. So I came to speak with him and we agree a meeting in Norman Cay. So that day I was there with the other guy and more than 20 guys from DEA. So the guy came in a Learjet, So we went to hotel, and when we was at the hotel discussing the terms for the delivery of 1 ton and the money, the DIA came arrest everybody, including me and the other guy. Then okay, we separate, and later on, that guy, John Logan, that was in charge of the operation, came and he told, hey, Fernando, we had a problem here. What? So the guy has in the plane $10 million cash. So we want to divide that money and we stay with the plane. And I said, wait a minute. I'm not going to do that because I don't work with you. I just here for one operation. I'm going to doing my report. I'm going to deliver it in Miami to my director, and I don't care about this. And I asked to the Puerto Rico guy, and I'm going to do the same. I don't want to involved with this shit. So when I came back to Miami, I gave my report. I detailed all the operations. So those guys were arrested. A lot of them, some were expelled from the IA, and from that day on, my life was constantly, they menace me, they treat me, they send cards, they phone, and the CIA put permanently guys for escorting me, my wife, and my son. That's what, when I bought a house in Spain, another house in Holland, Brazil, and then I was in Brazil, in Holland, in Spain. But after 4 years, I was real full, of this because I was constantly looking behind. When I get my car, they have to go with the glass, looking there, So they said, it's finished, I want to get out. So Alucci tell me, no, you don't do that because this and that. No. I want to get out. I want to another life. This is too much for my wife, for my daughter, for my son. They can't resist anymore. So then I get out. They give me a special amount, and then they give me every month a kind of a pension. So they never did it. I put them in court, and still today we are fighting for that, because they don't recognize that. They don't want. They tell that I was for the clandestine service. They have no registration for my number. I had the card with the number behind. They had everything, a gun and credentials, and I have 3 credit cards, one American Express, a Diners Club, and a MasterCard. The plafonds those days were $10,000 per month. And when I was doing some jobs in the clandestine service, usually I go with cash money, pocket money, with different currencies, pounds, dollars, marcos, and so on, always preparing for an eventual thing that could happen, So they did now another similar thing. You know that story about Brina de Souza?
No.
The CIA Portuguese agent? You don't know. So do you know the story about that extraordinary rendition in Italy, that they kidnap a cleric?
Yeah.
Yes, recently.
Yeah.
So the guy was 27 agents from CIA. They was so clever, or I can't understand that, because they enter in Italy with their own passports. Okay, with the collaboration from the Italian intelligence service, the CISMIL, they catch that guy, they put him in Jordania, he was tortured, but 1 year he was out. So he put his mouth on the trombone, like we used to say. So the Italian government went to check, and the 27 guys have international demands wanted for going to trial. So the United States, as usual, with the plausible denial that we signed, said, no, we have nothing to do with this, we are not that. So the commander from the Secret Service was put out too, because he was inside. And then that agent, that only the only service, the only job that she did was to introduce the American guy to the Italian guys, because she was working at the embassy in Rome. During this rape, she was in Milano. She was not there. Then, after that, they issue an international warrant for her too, and she asked CIA, so what happened? They denied, and later on, she came to Portugal. She said that he don't want to work more for the CIA because they don't want to pay the pension too. He is married with an American guy. He's living here, and last year, he was going to go India, the old Portuguese colony, because she is originary from there, because mother was very sick. But he was living here then more than 1 year. So the Portuguese police arrested her. She was 3 days arrested, and now they want to extradite her to Italy in exchange with that Russian guy that was caught with that Portuguese guy from the Portuguese intelligence service, like a coin, like a change. And you can imagine that. She worked for the CIA during 15 years, and they don't care about that. This is in all the papers, in all the magazines there. So then, I get around, as I told you, and but frequently I talk with Carlucci because I have the number from the house, from the office, because as you probably know, she is CEO from 27 Enterprise. She belongs to the Carlyle Group and other groups. So the last time I was with him was in 2004 in Madrid, because he was going to Turkey, because they have a big mobiliary settlement doing there, and I had lunch with him and with his wife Marcia. Marcia was a secretary in the American embassy. When he separated from his first wife, he married with her. And I used to go to his house playing tennis with him the time he was here. Then he went to the United States. He finished the mission that everybody knew what he was doing here. And then he started, during the Reagan government, working as sub-director from the CIA. Yes. And with Bush, the Bush father. Yeah, so you know. So, and I keep calling with him. And in 1995, those guys from the DEA, somewhere, 3 or 4, I don't remember, were reintegrated again. And they had this in the throat, about me. As they couldn't do nothing against me, what they did, in 1995, I was here in Portugal for holidays. The Portuguese police catch me, they arrest me, and they said that I was inside a drug organization, a big one, and that I was the guy that made the contacts between the guys in Bolivia and in England, France, and so on. So they get 2 Portuguese guys that they had caught here, and one of them went to tribunal, said that he was at my house in Brazil, and that he went to me with Bolivia, that I introduced him people there, friends. He saw tons of coca there, and probably I was inside that. On these words, they convicted me 14 years, You can imagine, I was convicted for 14 years. So then I make...
You were sentenced to 14 years.
Huh?
You were sentenced.
Sentenced for 14 years, but I just stayed 7 years because I have appeals and then after 7 years I came out. In my declarations, I put the names from the guy from the Portuguese police that I called them corrupted, and now they were arrested 6 months ago. What I said 20 years ago,
what were their names?
Yeah, names are Ricardo Macedo, Sintra, Ferreira Leite, the other guy, Dias Santos, Bem-vindo. They were a lot because they have the infiltrated guys, the war trafficking, right, that they put like provocateur agents, and then they get the merchandise, they give the merchandise to them, then they sell the merchandise and they pay them, This happened more than 20 years. And now, after 20 years, they discovered this net, and they were arrested, some of them, the other are under investigation, and every week in the Portuguese paper are coming names that I thought they had time. So this was a trap that they made to me.